Good morning, good morning, good morning. You know who it is, the Cat in the Hat, your resident fly guy. Well, maybe you guys didn't catch me. Good morning, good morning, good morning. You know who it is, the Cat in the Hat, your resident fly guy, your chief architect, Michael Landrew of StarArchitects.com, here to help you redesign your frame of mind when it comes to this lifestyle thing. And today, we're going to be talking all about how to determine whether your style is outdated or you're just selling it short. Now, for some of you guys who may have missed some of my Insta Live or any of those different types of things, don't worry, we're going to have a more concise conversation here. Go ahead and give me a thumbs up if you find the information beneficial. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. That way you will be able to get to check out the videos that we're actually posting. And if you have already subscribed, you know I appreciate you. Now all you have is one more thing to do, and that is hit that notification bell, and that way you will be notified each and every time I'm hopping on live or a video does come out. So today I wanted to give you some insight and give you some tips on whether or not your style is actually outdated or it is or you're just selling your style short. The reason being is we've been having this conversation all week about selling yourself short when it comes to your style or when it comes to dating or any of those different types of things. And so I wanted to make sure that we had this conversation of figuring out whether your style is coming up short or is outdated or simply that you're just not giving yourself enough credit. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is the mindset. Number one, do you know what your personal style is? For me, it takes some time. So I believe that what happens for a lot of guys is you go through these transitions where you actually do outgrow a certain or particular type of style. But that doesn't mean that the overall aesthetic, the overall point of view that you're creating for yourself is not spot on. I personally believe that we have always been who we are and who we are becoming. No, that doesn't make sense. But as a kid, there's certain characteristics, there's certain things that you've always done. You know, for me, as a young person, I was always able to hold an audience for the most part through conversation. I've always been a talker. I've always been a person who wanted to communicate. I've always been a bit of a debater. And so all these different types of things have always shown up when it comes to me. The other thing when it came to my style was that I realized I always have enjoyed casual, cool types of elements. So for me, you know, when I was in high school, I still wasn't wearing suits yet, but I always used to like our version of dressed up. Don't judge me, but like our version of dressed up when I was back in high school was, you know, a great pair of denim. You guys may not remember the polo strapped shoes, but I thought I was killing it. And then a nice little woven braided belt and a plaid type of shirt, right? But it was always tucked in. It always had to look like just so. And the same thing kind of happened as I began to evolve my style. So around 1920, I began to start liking sweaters, and I really liked this kind of uniform type of look. That was still casual but was cool. And then I was inspired by Sean John when they came out, and I liked that urban motif that was not urban like in modern day society. So for me, all those things had always kind of been present where I wanted this urban, elevated, elegant type of look, but not urban as far as streets, but more urban as far as metropolitan. And so those evolutions have happened. For me, the transition made me outgrow certain types of looks. So the first thing that you'll notice is when your mindset has changed, then and like your clothing or your movements have still remained the same, then you probably outgrown them and they probably become a bit outdated. So if you're still going to the same types of club or interacting with the same types of people, like young people, 21, 22, and you're 30, then you probably outgrown that space. You probably look a little bit outdated in there because your conversation is going to be different, your experiences are going to be different, and your concerns are going to be different. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention in that space. When it comes to building your closet, how can you tell whether something is outdated? This was asked yesterday on a Facebook group that I'm in, and the best way for you to determine whether something is outdated when it comes to your closet is paying attention to two things. Number one, your body. So have you outgrown something? If you've outgrown something and you're like trying to breathe in to fit into something, it's gone. It's done. If there's any holes, or I'm sorry, we're sticking with the body first. So if it comes to your body, and your body is too big, or even you slim down way too much where your jacket is engulfing you, it's outdated and it's time to let it go. The second thing that you have to pay attention to is whether or not you have like extreme holes or damage to your piece. The reason being is a lot of guys like to hold on to stuff that's never going to be worn, even though it's damaged or even though like it has been worn down. There's certain things that you do want to keep: denim jackets, denim jeans, things that have that twill. Those can stay because the more that they wear down, the better that they tend to look. Also with your leathers, as long as you're taking care of your leathers properly, making sure that they're oiled, making sure that they're conditioned, those are going to wear well with time. But if you got t-shirts that you've been wearing the hell out of, after a little while, you got to get rid of them. My dress shirts, unfortunately, even though I loved several of them, I had to get rid of them this year because they were literally starting to tear and look bad. Right, so some of those things you're going to have to get rid of. But once you've determined that, the next thing that you need to determine is your silhouette. Now, a lot of guys will say fit is king and fit is king. I agree with that, but silhouette is the queen. Silhouette is that underlying subtle element that a lot of people tend to just kind of gloss over. And I want to give just due to somebody who brought that to my attention, the Parisian Gentleman. Their blog is amazing, by the way. If you get a chance to check them out, I would definitely recommend it. A lot of very dense information. But one of the things that they were talking about was how this silhouette, which is essentially the shape of the jacket, is an overlooked type of perspective. And so if you have a silhouette that is extremely tight right now, right? Everybody's wearing the extremely fitted, for me, tight type of tailoring. That's cool, but you want to maintain an understanding of the fact that that is going to change. That trend is going to go out of style eventually. Right now, we're starting to see a transition with the trousers, where we're wearing higher waist trousers and fuller pants. You're gonna start seeing those wider leg pants come out in 2019, if not the end of this month or the end of this year, where a lot of trendsetters are starting to push that. Don't believe me? Check out GQ. ASAP Rocky is starting to put those back on. So I'm assuming, I'm presuming that that is going to also fall into the suit and the jacket market. It may hit the urban market first, but the sartorial market does usually follow suit either about a year or two afterwards. So it could be sooner. So with that being said, that silhouette that is super fitted may be out of style in 2 years. But that doesn't mean that it still doesn't work for you. And so you have to pay attention to what actually fits you so that you're not saying, oh man, nobody's doing that anymore, so I'm going to switch back to whatever this style is, when the silhouette and that fit may actually work for you. So the last thing that you have to determine on whether something is outdated or you're just selling yourself short is ultimately, what are you looking to communicate? Now, what happens for a lot of guys is that they start saying that they're still communicating the same thing. So, for instance, it's the essentially like the Migos. If you ever listen to hip hop, the Migos, or like Justin Bieber, or even like Bruno Mars. Bruno Mars is one of my favorite artists, like pop artists. But it would be the equivalent of Bruno still having the same vibe that he did with some of his first albums. Now, when he made 24 Karat, the reason why we love 24 Karat was because not only he had the voice for it, but it was a new jack swing, 90s type of vibe. This that older folks who were 90s babies, folks who were 80s babies could really enjoy. And so, because he wasn't willing to stay in the same type of pop market, he was able to evolve his sound, and it kept him current, even though it was nostalgic. So even when it comes to like how you're moving, you can still be a sneakerhead. You can still be a dude who enjoys, street fashion. But you should always be evolving. You should always be elevating yourself because you got more knowledge. You got more wisdom. You've been smarter. You've hopefully curated a collection so you don't need the same thing that other people need. You have a different appreciation for things. But if you're just paying attention to what the masses are doing and you haven't started creating your own voice, then what you've done is you've essentially dated yourself, because you're still following those young people. So you're stepping backwards while you're getting older. So you look off. And that's mainly the space that I would tell a lot of guys if they're asking me, how do I know something is outdated? Well, number one, if you're trying to go back when you should be moving forward, or you look off, you look imbalanced, then you probably are outdated at that point. And that's the kicker right there, is that you have shown yourself as a person who's off balance. So I want you to try that on, see how it fits you. Question of the day. And guys, please make sure that you leave those comments in the comment box, because they do not only help us, and I know the community is small, but it is growing, to really help develop and cultivate their style. So the question of the day is what is one thing that you would recommend, or that you would say makes a outfit or a look or a mentality outdated? Because again, a lot of guys may be having these outdated mindsets and they don't even realize it. And we can't change what we don't know about. So please drop those comments in the comment box. Go ahead and give this a thumbs up if you found the information beneficial, and please to share this with a friend. If you think that they could benefit from it. Outside of that, yo, it's Thursday. You made it to Thursday, right? So don't forget to be great. Then again, you already are. So now all you have to do is show up in style and leave that lasting impression. And don't forget that dress is nothing more than the expression of a man's state of mind. So you should always dress to express. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.